Gambia Christian Council. So that's official date of the founding of the Christian Council, March 21, 1966. Now this Christian Council at that time consisted of the Anglicans, the Methodists, and the Roman Catholic. And I want to say this is a blessing to the Gambia, because it's not in many cases that you have these three denominations coming together and working together for the good of Christianity. In many countries, this does not happen. In many countries, it's difficult to find Christians working together for the good of the Christian religion. In many cases, they don't have the kind of Christian council which we have in the Gambia. And that's a plus for us in the Gambia, that we're working as one set of people for the good of the gospel in the Gambia. Now, so there was a major shift in the 1960s. Before the churches saw each other as one, they had lived as if they were competing with each other. That is before the Christian Council was formed. They found out, that they were just like rivals, everybody competing with the other person. For example, in the 1920s, the Roman Catholic Church was still looking down on the Methodists. That's what history says. In the 1920s, the Roman Catholics did not see the Methodists as Christians at all. In the 1930s, there was this cordial relationship between the Anglicans and the Methodists. And as time went on, they themselves found that this friendship was not holding properly. And so that relationship between them became a little sour. The Anglican bishop then, referred to the Methodists as chapel people. He did not see them as Christians. He said they were chapel people. People who went into the chapel and just worshipped as a group of people. And so he said, well, if they are chapel people, if they're not Christians, then I have no wish to continue the fellowship with them. So that was the Christian religion as far as the time was concerned. The Methodists in turn turned to the Anglicans and they accused them of being Anglo-Catholics. They said they were Anglo-Catholics, which meant that their status was lesser than the real Anglican Church. And so you see there was this little push and pull. But it came to a point when they all agreed that yes, look, we cannot go on like this. And in 1943, the Methodists still called for the Christian Council. In 1943, the Methodists put their feet down and said, look here, to hell with all this wrangling. To hell with all this criticism about one another. To hell with all this small slinging. Let's come together. Let's form this Christian Council. This Christian Council, if we form it, will be a place where we, as the church, can speak to the government with one voice. You see, it's better when people come together and speak as one voice than you as an individual trying to go and fight your own case. Now, if the church has a case, if the church has a petition, if the church has anything to put to the government, let's come together, let's thrash it in the Christian Council, and let's take it as one set of people speaking with one voice.
And if I may add here, like you rightly said, the Christian Council is the council that government recognizes. It is the council that government interacts with, and it is the body that government looks up to for all kinds of policies and regulations and, rules and laws and bylaws with regards Christianity in this nation of the Gambia.
Yeah, that's good. So, if the government wants to recognize anybody, B-O-D-Y, anybody, a group of people, the Christian Council is what the government looks up to. And they look up to the churches that form the Christian Council.
Yes.
Now, what happened at the grassroots level, even when the churches were doing all their wrangling, thinking that they were rivals? People in the Gambia lived as one.
Yes.
They lived as one.
Indeed.
Whether they were Muslims or Christians, they lived as one. Yes. There was a communism among them. There was not oneness among them. You'll agree with me that people are still doing it. When funerals take place, you hear Muslim names announced.
Yeah. In the obituaries and things like that. Yeah.
Reverend Junisa.
Yeah. Good.
Survived by Modu Sanko and their grandfather, Pa Dukure. And the Christian funerals also, you hear Muslim names.
Yes, that's right. Because
when we go to the churches,
they are related.
Or to the mosques, we go together. The mosques, we go to the mosques when there are funerals. We go to the mosques when there are weddings.
Weddings, yes.
We go to the churches when there are all activities. So even though people may not want to go in, there are some die-hard people.
There was
still go.
If I may just
stand on the steps and they will listen to the proceedings in the church.
There was even
Christians who don't want to go in stand at the mosque and at the gate of the mosque and they listen to the proceedings.
And there was a time when the Anglican bishop was invited by the Imam Ratib to attend a gamo, conducted by the Imam Ratib. So there is this inter-church and interfaith relationship which is going on.
Archbishop telling me that. Archbishop Tiliwa Johnson.
Yes.
He said that.
Yeah.
And he was invited and he went. And Christian people have been invited to mosques and they've been there.
Yeah.
And we have had Muslims go into mosques.
Oh, yes. Into churches.
Our very great example is our vice president.
Yes.
Invite her to a Christian thing. She's there.
She will come. Yeah.
She will come. So there has been this ecumenism, not only between the Christians, but between the Christians and the Muslims.
Interfaith relationship very.
So this ecumenism is not only in the church, it is in the mosques, it is among the people in the grassroots level.
Yeah.
Now, all the forms of ecumenism among us Christians are the Good Friday procession.
Yes.
When we come together. Father will talk about that later, and he will give you a full account of what happens. Then there is the Saint Marie.
Yeah.
When we all come together again. Then there are other activities. Then we now have Gambia Senior Secondary School. But from history, it's believed that it was schools that amalgamated.
Yeah.
There was the Methodist Boys High School.
That's right.
There was also the Gambian, the Methodist Guys High School. And then the government itself had a school.
Yeah.
And they wanted to come to have one secondary school. And so they put all those three together and they called it Gambia High School. So there has been this amalgamation. There has been this amalgamation even in schools. There has been this coming together and this united presentation of the churches and the government still exists.
Yeah, and there was also the schools of sciences in 1947. Yeah.
So the Christian Council, having been formed in 1966, has really worked to keep Christians and Muslims together. You won't believe that under the auspices of the Christian Council, some of us did Islam.
Yes.
We studied Islam.
Yeah.
And Bishop Clary was one of those, Bishop Ellison